chug, 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 chug. And he's done.
Fully non-alcoholic, folks.
Mm-hmm.
At least claimed.
It's been over 2 years since I had a drink.
Nice.
I imagine I'd smell one. I didn't. What's wrong with Ian? He smelled alcohol.
Make that face again for the camera.
I don't know what face did I make. This is my face.
Yeah, let's put that mic up. ain't nobody got time for this. Welcome back to Tim and Beard.
We're already running. Just go for it. Maybe we'll leave this in.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, man. Well, we're here. We...
Ian and Tim?
Yeah. Ian and Tim.
Hamlet without Hamlet?
It reminds me of... when's the last time you've seen Back to the Future Part 3?
A long time
A
ago?
long time ago. Anyway, have you seen this? Long time ago, if
No.
ever. Oh, man. Okay, so in this movie, we find out that Doc Brown can't hold his liquor. And at one point, he, after getting dumped by the girl that he loves, goes into the saloon all night just telling the story of the future because he's in the Old West. And he asks for a shot and to leave the bottle. And the bartender's like, "Are you sure, Emmett? You know what happened last time?" And then we cut to morning, which is when Marty's going to have the duel with Buford Tannen, Biff's relative. And Barney shows up, and Doc's still telling his story. And Marty's like, "Doc, we got to go." And he's like, "Yeah, we do." And he goes to drink it, and the bartender goes, "Emmett, no!" As soon as it touches his lips, just out. just unconscious completely. Now there's a fella that can't hold his liquor. That's what I thought when you said that.
All right.
Anyway, that's a horrible non sequitur.
We're great at non sequiturs.
We're back. Hamlet without Hamlet. I think this time we've decided to discuss our modern viewing habits and how we currently consume media most often.
Yeah,
So-
versus what it looked like
The glory
10 years
days.
ago, 20 years ago, in our childhoods, college days.
Yeah, I was a couple weeks ago. I was doing a bedtime story with my two older kids, who are 9 and 6, almost, and I was regaling them with the tale of when I went to the midnight showing of Return of the King and the midnight showing of Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith, which I went with you, and how incredible that was to be there with everybody that can't wait to see this thing, has no other way to see it, and it only comes out at midnight or 12:01 or 12:02, depending on which theater you got in. And now it's just like midnight showings are Thursdays at 7. And it's reserved seating, so you can come whenever. Versus when we went to Star Wars, it started at midnight, like 12:01 a.m. And they opened it up at like 8. And you had to come, and we had, I think, a group of like 15 people. So we were in like 3 rows. It was like 3, 5, and 6 or something to get everybody in there. And then they had, trivia, and they had people doing horrible lightsaber duels. I think I remember one guy being asked, like he was in the Emperor's cloak or a Sith cloak, and they're like, "What's your Sith name?" And he said it's Darth Lydius, which like not much work was done there.
Nope.
But it was so fun because, again, everyone was there for the moment. And then we got out at, 2:40 in the morning, and we could just talk about it the rest of the night. And I think that is something that's lost that I don't see coming back, because the convenience of it's a midnight showing, but it's the night before at 7:30 because people got to sleep is a little bit lost. And like even when we were there, nobody had cell phones to like sit and chat and text and go online. We were there with each other for 3 hours before seeing the 2 hour and 30-minute movie. So it was, you're all in, and it was fantastic. And, I don't think my kids will ever need to or choose to experience something like that for better or worse. But I am indelibly marked by it. So I think that is something that I miss versus how we engage with it now.
So something you might not be thinking about is that was a total introvert's nightmare. And, for me and for my wife, going to those and just being surrounded by people for hours and trying to figure out how to deal with that time. And you can be social, but you can only be social for so long. And so you run off and use the restroom so you can just go just for 30 seconds. Like, okay, back we go. Right. And it's, you love the people dearly and you're really excited about the show, but oh boy, it can be tiring. So yeah, but
I hear you.
But very much very exciting to watch those big films, especially the ones that everyone was anticipating. Yeah. Did you do any midnight showings of like Harry Potter or anything like that as those came out?
Did I? I may have done a midnight showing of the last one, but I didn't really get into the movies until I finished reading the books.
Mm-hmm.
So I had, I think when the 7th book came out and I read that, they were already on movie 4. And I was already getting out of college, so I didn't really have like the core group of people that I'd go with like I did earlier in college or during college. I mean, I know you and I have discussed this before, but the most recent example of this, I don't think it was a midnight showing, but I believe we went as like a group of 6 or 8 of us to go see Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
And again, everyone there, build up of 10 years of anticipation for this moment was so cool. And maybe it'll happen again. I hope maybe the DCEU figures it out, or some other Bastion comes in and figures out, or maybe the 5th Avatar film is that buildup because they've been good, and maybe he'll keep building it and building and building it. But what Marvel did with that decade of films to build to that moment was some of the most incredible production engineering I've ever seen. To just have that all thought out, timed out, built out with all of the actors there to do their respective parts was really cool. That you can now just watch at home on a Tuesday afternoon. It's very different, but
you could binge all the MCU.
Yes,
might need more than one day. There's a couple hours in there.
Yes, 21 films and 7 TV shows at this point.
Yeah, it might take a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Is it only 7 TV shows? I think it's more.
Sure.
It's more.
It's probably more.
Oh, man.
It's more. I mean, you're the guy at the computer. You can figure it out.
Oh, man.
I don't even know if we have enough time tonight for you to figure that out. The thing the thing with the media that the midnight showings and appointment viewing, and if you didn't see it at that time, you missed it, things of the past. The interesting thing that I've seen, because I'm more of a music guy, as we've talked before, is that people are starting to go back looking for records. They're looking for CDs. They want that media experience on the music side. So I'm interested to see if that's the same kind of shift and transition that happens in modern movies and media, that people want that experience with a group. You can't get it just by clicking a button, because there's something to the human experience that we want to share things with other people. We're not meant to be in an awesome home theater at home in the basement with nobody around for our whole life. No, sometimes that's awesome, I wouldn't know. I've never been invited, but
Sick burn, Ian.
But as I was saying, as I digress.
So 22 so far with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 more planned.
Movies or
TV
shows?
series.
Just TV series.
22 Marvel TV shows.
So far.
Jeebers. We got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I'm not even gonna try. What?
We got Loki. We got the one with WandaVision. Hawkeye. What was the one with
Iron Fist? Is he?
Yeah. Daredevil,
Fist.
Jessica Jones.
Jessica
Luke
Jones? That's what I
Cage,
was trying to think of.
Iron Fist, Defenders, Punisher.
Agatha
You
All
can't
Along.
forget Punisher.
Punisher.
Agatha All Along.
Well, I mean, and then also, how far back do we go into all the Marvel movies that have been?
Nope. Just the MCU. I wasn't going back before that. Yeah.
22 shows?
Yeah. Yep. Agent Carter, Inhumans, Cloak and Dagger, Runaways,
What if?
Hellstrom, What If,
Is Luke Cage
Falcon
part
and the
of that?
Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I said Luke Cage
Sorry, I
earlier.
missed that. That was a good one.
Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Attorney at Law,
Gross.
Secret Invasion, Echo, and Agatha All Along. And then coming up, we have Daredevil Born Again. So they're leaning into that.
Well, and I think Daredevil, if I'm correct, the actor that's going to be playing that was featured in the She-Hulk series. I think, leading into that new show,
Yep.
if I'm correct.
Yeah, so another Daredevil's coming. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is coming. Ironheart, Eyes of Wakanda, Marvel Zombies, Wonder Man, and then Vision Quest. And then there's another Wakanda series coming, and a Nova series, and more Spider-Man, more Daredevil. In planning, TBD.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It feels like there's enough comic book characters that they could do new stuff.
You'd think
Maybe.
they could. I mean, when you look at when Iron Man came out, he wasn't a front runner in.
Right? Or Guardians. That was way out of left field. And now they're household names.
I think with the Guardians, after proving that Iron Man worked as a kind of out of left field character for comics, they looked at what else can we explore or work with that is less known, that I think gave some creative freedom to take those characters and bring them to life on screen.
See, I can't agree with Iron Man being less known. It was one of the more popular ones, one of the more compelling ones. People like a Batman character. I mean, he's Batman, right? He's Marvel's Batman. I'm rich and I have lots of toys. My funds come from dubious past, but I'm going to make it right in the future. Bit of a playboy until I found who I really am.
I am Iron Man.
I would say there's no doubt that premise works. I think, and again, I was never a kid that had a ton of comic books or read a lot of comics as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But when I thought of Marvel, Iron Man was never one that was on my radar.
Interesting. So what was Marvel to you?
Spider-Man, Hulk, Thor, Captain America, Blade. Yeah, I'd say that was kind of the main, and the X-Men would be. When Iron Man came out, it was like I'd heard a mention of this character, but that was as far as it went. Never knew anything about who the character was or had read any comics or seen anything with him in it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
very new.
Well, I wasn't a comics person either, but for me it was like X-Men were the main thing.
Yeah.
And then Spider-Man, and then Iron Man was shortly behind that. So we had a different experience of those characters. Like I I knew about Hulk, but wasn't that interested in Hulk. And Thor wasn't on my radar as a superhero until he shows up in the movies. Really wasn't even. But, there's so much difference in there. And I didn't have comics around the house. It was just whatever I watched on TV, right? So,
yeah. I only know Spider-Man and Hulk, really, because of the TV show from the 70s. And my dad had it was like the bust of Hulk that's like a piggy bank.
Okay.
Like a little slit in the head that you could put money in. I remember seeing that around. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then I saw it on TV with Lou Ferrigno, like reruns and such. But I don't know that I could really ever say I've fully read a comic book in my life. That type of media doesn't really connect with me. I'm glad it does for many, many, many people. But I have always been more intrigued by the visual medium of film and TV. So I'm glad that they were able to translate that so well so that I could engage with it like people who love comic books do. And I know it's different, but to be able to dive in headlong and just be like, let's go. I'm doing this for the next
Forever.
10 years, 15 years, whatever. But to your point about the appointment viewing, and I know you and I have discussed this before, but there's so many really, really good shows right now that nobody's watching, or people aren't watching in bulk, or are just not promoted at all because they made them 2 years ago, and now they got the new thing. Apple TV Plus has been maligned because a lot of their original movies aren't great, but they have some of the best TV shows I've seen in the last 20 years. And hardly anybody is aware that they exist. Silo is fantastic. Severance, one of the best first seasons of a show I've ever seen. We just watched the first 2 or 3 seasons of Shrinking. I don't know if you've heard of this. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
One of the funniest shows I've ever seen. It's up there with Ted Lasso in terms of comedic value, but it's Jason Segel, Harrison Ford, Krista Miller from Scrubs and Cougar Town, Ted McGinley from Married with Children. He's like the neighbor.
Yeah.
And Jason Segel, Harrison Ford, and Jessica Miller, I think is her name. They are 3 therapists that have a firm where people come in and they're patients, but it's just the inner workings of their lives, and it is so well written. Bill Lawrence, who did Scrubs.
Oh, it's a Bill Lawrence?
Yes, Krista Miller's his wife.
Yeah.
It's so funny, and it's so sincere and heartfelt, and I said, I laughed a lot, more consistently at that than many shows ever, for sure recently. So 10 out of 10 recommend. So almost any show I've watched on Apple TV, I maybe had heard of a couple times and was just blown away. And it's hard because if it doesn't get viewers, it might not continue unless Apple's just like, yeah, let them make another one. And then we also have the new spate of an episode or a season comes out here, or it comes out in drips, or it finishes and then we won't have another one for 8 months, 12 months, 18 months, 32 months. Like the 5th season of Stranger Things is coming out, I think, this fall. The first season premiered in 2016. So we're now 9 years in, and we're going to have 5 seasons worth of 42 episodes. And as a consumer, that's hard. Like, I was gung-ho, and I'm sure if I watched the first 2 seasons again, I'd be like, this is fantastic. But it's hard to, like, keep up that energy. Like, but I think between season 3 and 4 was almost 2.5 years, and now 4 to 5 is going to be another 2 years, I think.
Yeah. Something like that.
So it feels weird that they're just expecting the audience to just still be there when, the people that first watched this and bought into it may have been in their mid to late 20s at the time, and now they're married with kids. And like, my daughter was born right before that first season came out, and she's going to be 9, and it feels like the show should be done now or be further along. One of the two. People have gotten married, had kids, and gotten divorced in the time that this show has gotten to its 5th season. So it's hard. That's the most egregious example I've seen, and I know England with the BBC has often followed a formula similar to that of like, we'll put out episodes when we have them. It's not going to be the standard like 24 episode arc that we have. It runs from September to May, and we have sweeps in April, and then we have the Emmys with a little break around Christmas. That's just what we always did. And I think the middle ground is better, where like it's a shorter season that's just quality, but just we're going to do 5 here and wait 3 years and do 2, and then we'll do 6 more, and you lose a little bit of something from my experience, because then you either kind of forget that it exists,
Well, I think
and then you have to try to buy back into it when it comes. Like, I'm still waiting for the 3rd or 4th season of Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman. I don't think it'll happen now because they're both so famous. If it did, I'd probably watch it. But even by the 3rd season of that, which I think was like 6 years, maybe, I had to be like, rediscover the first 2 seasons to enjoy the 3rd versus just going.
Well, wasn't the first season just 3 episodes too?
Hmm? Yeah. That's the BBC model. We write what we think is good, not what you tell us to.
One I think, as you were just talking about when we were talking about Oscar stuff, is the recency bias also plays into us engaging with the next media. Because if it's 2 years down the road and now I've seen 5 other great shows between then, how much can I get engaged with that, get re-engaged to that when there's so many characters and stories that have played out between that that I've seen recently that are as impactful or meaningful. Like you're saying, some of the Apple TV shows that you're watching now, and then Stranger Things comes out and it's like, oh, I got to switch back over. And do I want to go back and watch?
Yeah, I have no idea what happened.
Do I want to go watch 30 hours of Stranger Things to get up to date?
Right.
Because I don't remember 10 years ago.
Yeah. It's not just a movie or 2. It's 3, 4 full seasons.
Well, and I think something that I've noticed is with some of these shows now that they're coming out, that they're 40 to 55-minute long shows each episode. Could they do better to go with some of the formulas of the half-hour sitcom, 22, 26-minute episodes, and then they get more frequently, break it up? Because also sitting down sometimes, finding the time for that long to watch a show creates a hurdle as well. Mm-hmm. There's something to, okay, the show comes on, it's a half hour, that's my show, it's done.
Yeah.
And if I miss it, it's gone. I'll see it when we were growing up, maybe when I'm dead. Because we didn't have all the box set series of things, and you'd have to hope for it was a good enough show I got reruns later on, or it's only in recent time that we have streaming and click on a couple minutes, you can find almost any show out there.
Yeah. Well, you also couldn't pause, right? When it was on TV, you can't just pause and wait. You had to show up at a time and sit there and watch it when it was there. And I was telling my kids a few weeks ago about how we used to watch shows, and it would come on and you'd see it or you'd miss it. And then if you missed it, you would not know what happened. So you just jump into the next episode the next time you had a chance to turn the TV on,
Or if you had to go to the bathroom during a commercial break, you took a little longer.
Yep.
What is it? Tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and as you were saying that, it got me thinking, do the modern kids of today, do they struggle going to a theater and seeing movies now? Because you can't just pause. Like, they're growing up in an age where I can pause anything, I can rewind anything.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to a theater, you don't have that power. You can't look away.
Mm-hmm.
And is that, and I just thinking out loud, I don't know if that's a challenge or not, or what that, but thinking about it, nowadays you have start, stop, rewind, pause, I'll come back tomorrow. In a theater, it's going.
Yep.
Unless somebody has a seizure or the reel breaks or something. Oh, wait, we don't have reels anymore, but that shows how old we are, folks.
Yeah. It happened in my midnight showing of Return of the King.
I know.
Super cool.
Well, and you mentioned Severance, and I'm tying it in here to the pausing thing. But I just watched the most recent episode of Severance, and it took me almost 2 hours to watch that episode because I was interrupted 6 times. Yeah, it's kind of interesting thinking about the fact that if that was just on, then I would mute it and I would address the things I need to address, and then I'd be like, I hope they replay it. You know, I hope they replay it next week, or this is, you know, a show that's running on Tuesday that they run reruns on Friday, and hopefully I can catch it, which is one of the ways that we used to catch shows, right? Yeah, I don't know, but it is kind of funny because I caught all of it. I backed up when I needed to back up to rewatch little sections, and streaming is great. Mm-hmm. It's really nice. It's really convenient.
Oh, it absolutely has its perks, no doubt. And I enjoyed them fully. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I do. There is something to missing some of those experiences, though. I do think. And I've seen a couple, and I liked it. I don't know if it was Netflix that did it. Netflix or Disney. I can't remember to name the show, but where they were releasing one episode at a time. And then, you know, once it's all out, then you can watch the whole thing. But I think I feel like there would be enough of a call for it to create that draw into it. Like, now you can go on, and I've noticed, is it one of the streaming services where they actually have watched this show live with other people?
Mm-hmm.
But it's classic shows that have been out for a long time, which is cool, but it's nothing new. I think it would be powerful to try out and see, especially if you put out, like, you think about The Office, for example, and the phenomenon that was around The Office, something of that caliber that you put out there, and each week at this time, here's where it is. And okay, modern age, maybe you give 2 viewing options. That's fine. I'd be totally cool with that because we have the option to do that. But then the episode is gone, and you can't see it again till the end of the whole season runs. So if you want to be engaged with it, you would actually have to be engaged with it. And then it would drive conversation, fanfare, what's going to happen? Did you catch this episode? You missed this episode? What's going on? The water cooler conversation that used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're so in our own little bubbles and worlds, just watching our own things. And there isn't that, we're all sitting here and there's some cross-pollination, but then there's a lot of, I've watched these shows. Nope, I watch these. Nope. We each have 5 shows we're watching, and there's 1 or 2 from each of us that cross-pollinates, and other ones that they're probably great shows, I think.
So you're reminding me of something. So there's a TV show that attempted to do this. So they had a TV show and they built a video game, and they tried to do this thing where they had limited viewing, and then they had whatever happened to the TV show that week affected the way that the video game played. I never played this game, but it's a really interesting concept where those 2 things were companions that were being modified by each other throughout the season run. This is 2013 to 2015. Yeah, Defiance, New Earth, New Rules. I don't know. Never watched it. Never played the game. But it was an interesting concept. It got panned for this availability sort of thing that you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, people didn't love it. And I kind of wonder how much building that experience and that anticipation and the chance of missing it, you're building FOMO, right?
Yep.
How much people would attach to it versus reject it because they missed out. That's intriguing.
Yeah, it's very possible. And obviously I have a bias from what I know and grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
And there is some comfort and nostalgia from that.
Yeah.
That just brings back fond memories. A 25-year-old kid that's never had that might just make them angry and turn them off of the show. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I can't speak from their experience.
Yeah. Or it might be so novel that they attach to it. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that would be, because I've seen the ones that I saw when they would do the appointment viewing, the episodes were still available after that. I think that's the downfall. If you're going to do that, you have to only have it for that, and then it's gone until the season wraps up, and then make it all available. That's fine. But for that appointment viewing, to make it valuable and make it engaging, okay, there's 2 times it'll play in this week, and that's it.
Yeah. Give
People options. People have crazy work schedules, and
yeah, that could be interesting. But I feel like as a general takeaway, I think we were really blessed to grow up at the time we did, to have a period where we didn't have this access to all of the ubiquity of streaming, but we grew up in a time where they were making the MCEU and the Lord of the Rings movies and the appointment viewings and all that, where it was part of the culture, part of the zeitgeist was, did you see it? What was your experience? And then to now come to here. Obviously, I think the generations after us will feel like the time they grew up in was probably the best, and maybe they'll be right. But there's just, something that can't be recreated with a one-off when you experience something that's so cataclysmic as some of the appointment viewings and the multiple film series things that we watched.
And for me, and obviously you're the introvert over there, David, so you have a little different perspective on some of it, but the human experience is meant to be shared. Mm-hmm. And the modern media takes some of that away. And that's where and that seeing what some of the kids are yearning for in the music side of things makes me wonder, are we going to see more of that come back in our viewing habits?
Yeah.
We're along for the ride either way.
Yeah. Well, and I made a comment about being an introvert earlier. Being an introvert doesn't mean you don't like shared experiences, right? It just means that some of the social things leading into that can be a little bit more challenging. The unstructured time is a little more challenging. But the activity, the thing we're doing together, usually that's the easy part, right? And so that's what I was speaking to, is showing up 3 hours early for a movie, waiting for your seats, right? And then just mingling with strangers. That's the part that's exhausting. But going out, doing the movie together, getting excited about seeing it, it's good stuff. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I think
Yeah.
I think we kind of covered it, but thank you for joining us today. Once again, Ham Without Hammett. If you have different experiences than us, or if you're more engaged today than you may have been before, or this is, your youth, share that experience with us. We'd love to hear kind of your take, but that's where we're at. So thanks.
We'll see you all next time.